"It's in there," declared the store owner as we walked up. His shell was painted red, his expression was sour, and he pointed at the doorway, clearly uninterested in the greeting that Reed had just launched into. "It destroyed my plants and left this foul mess." Yeah, that was some diarrhea. I guess those potted plants didn't agree with a rabbit's digestive system, leafy and green though they were. I reflected that we were lucky the blue grass at the park hadn't proved to be similarly toxic. Catching the speedy buggers was hard enough without dodging nasty piles of poo. "I apologize," Reed said. "Thank you for calling us. My associates here will catch it right away. You said it's just the one?" Anne and I quick-stepped toward the door while the guy went into detail about how he'd seen the terrifying creature, rabbit, bare its teeth at him, and dash inside to lay claim to the building, hide. Since the man had only just unlocked the front door of his furniture store, he'd let the rabbit have the place. He was still complaining outside when Anne and I ducked through the rockback standard-sized door to find a dark interior that we could just barely stand up in. Anne turned the lights on. I was instantly glad the guy hadn't followed on our heels. "Ooh," I said. "Let's find it quick." Rabbit pee and shreds of paper were everywhere among the furniture. One of the tabletop lamps didn't come on, even when I checked it for a separate switch. Didn't find one. Did find a cord that had been chewed through. Okay, moving on. We don't need that to see anyway. Where's the bunny? In the far corner of the room, of course, under a couch that it did not want to leave. We had to shove furniture to surround it, covering all exits but one, which I stood over with my net pole while Anne nudged the rabbit with hers. This bunny wasn't as fast as the others, and I caught it with relative ease, and more diarrhea, lots of that. "Oh man," Anne said as she held the cage out at arm's length. "We're gonna have to quarantine this one." "Absolutely," I agreed. "I feel equally bad for it, and for whoever has to clean this place." And whoever has to clean the bunny, I thought, better not be me. The rabbit was a lop-eared gray that would have been charming if not for the color of its hindquarters. We picked our way through the mess, only to find the owner at the doorway discovering the chewed-through cord. He was, as expected, not pleased. "Look at this! That thing did this! What kind of abomination eats wires?" He waved the lamp in Anne's face. "It doesn't eat them," Anne said, holding the cage away from the guy. "It was just chewing to wear down its teeth." Surprise, that didn't help. The turtledillo said some very unkind things as Anne and I scooted outside. Reed made an effort to calm him, with middling success. We secured the cage in the truck, while Reed said his goodbyes to a slammed door. He scuttled over to join us with unprofessional haste. "Let's go," he said as he jumped in. The owner shouted anew from inside the building. I guess he was just now exploring the damage. Anne didn't have to be told twice. She sped off toward base while I hoped the guy stayed inside instead of coming out to throw stuff at us. He sounded that mad. The drive was short and aromatic, with the windows down and the occasional passerby looking up in revulsion. Glad to see my professional assessment was holding up. Diarrhea smells bad on any planet. When we rolled in and handed off the rabbit, which would be quarantined in that cage, set in a stockroom since we were out of space, Shell met us in the hallway and sent us right back out again. "It's a cat this time," she said, sending the info to our phones. "Climbing fences in a residential district, frightening locals, and terrorizing the small animal population." She put her own phone away. "Look for it near the remains of the rodenty thing it picked apart in the backyard. They'll leave the gate open for you, but don't expect anyone to venture near it." "Can't fault 'em for that," I said. "I'll get the dry food to shake," Anne volunteered. That proved to be just the thing. 15 minutes later, the three of us stood on a deserted suburban street near an open gate, with a dead pile of fur visible in the backyard, and neighbors watching from every window. I shook a bag of treats. "Here, kitty kitty." "Murrow?" A head popped up from behind a decorative black rock. "Mo, mo, mow." The gray tabby trotted up eagerly and leapt into my arms. "Oh, what a good kitty you are," I said to the cuddlebug nuzzling my face. "Let's get you some snacks and water, and all the scritches, yes." It was certainly as friendly as one of ours, but more overweight than any cat at the vet center or at the Earth section of the zoo. I kept up the encouraging babble all the way to the truck. Reed held the door and Anne put away her net pole. I gave the good kitty a handful of treats and more attention. Thankfully, the cat was thirsty and didn't object to going into a cage as long as it found water there. I'd been expecting to have to convince myself not to let it ride on my lap for the drive back. Reed disappeared, then returned with a plastic bag of furry leftovers. "In case it gets sick from eating this," he explained. "Ah, good thinking," I said. While I'd memorized the list of local prey animals that an escaped cat was likely to bite into, I couldn't tell what that one used to be. We'd need to be sure what we were treating for if symptoms cropped up. Reed stored the airtight bag of dead animal, and we hit the road. None of the locals so much as waved as we drove away. Super eerie. We didn't even make it back before a call came in for somewhere close to us. This one was urgent. And weird. "They swear it's a human ghost," Jasmeet said on my phone. "Voices in the back room of a restaurant." "That's new," I said. "Did you tell them that there are other animals on our planet that can mimic a human voice?" "Yes, too rattled to listen to me. Good luck. Here's the address." The notification chimed in my ear. "Thanks," I said dryly. "We'll let you know how the ghost hunting goes." When I relayed the directions to Anne, she changed course with a laugh. It really was close by. "So," Reed said from the back seat, all four hands clasped in his lap, "which of your animals can talk?" I twisted in my seat. "You haven't heard about parrots, and mynah birds, and lyrebirds, and actually it's a lot of birds." "I have not. Do tell me." I did, with great enthusiasm and glee, going off on a tangent about the history of gorilla sign language that got interrupted when Anne parked. "We're here," she said. "I'll take the net again." "Right, sure. Anyways, it's all very cool," I said to Reed, who was already getting out. "I will do my best to convince the people inside that the alarming apparition is in fact marvelous." "Yes, good luck." The restaurant workers were waiting at the door, desperate for reassurance. Much better than the angry guy. Reed asked them for details while ushering us through another low doorway and a low-ceilinged kitchen full of fish-scented steam to the private dining hall beyond. This place had fancy vaulted ceilings with bare beams and shadowy corners. The aesthetic seemed a little creepy compared to what I'd seen so far, but there was still a lot I didn't know about Turtledillo history. It could have been local medieval style or something that only the richest patrons would enjoy. Anyways, there was a huddled form up in the rafters, muttering to itself in English. Didn't look like a ghost to me. Anne made as if to poke it with her net pole. Should I— "Wait," I said, setting my carrying cage on a table. I pitched my voice to its most friendly. "Pretty bird." The shadow perked up. "Pretty bird," it replied, fluttering and shuffling closer. "Who's a pretty bird?" Taking a wild guess, I called back, "You're a pretty bird! Come give kisses!" With happy cooing sounds and a shower of dust, a red parrot glided down to land heavily on my outstretched forearm. Hooray for sturdy work sleeves, no scratches. I stroked the bird's dusty plumage, an adult scarlet macaw, with no signs of injury. Not to be denied, the bird dodged my hand and nuzzled my cheek, muttering happily about kisses. I told it that it was a very good bird, and a pretty bird, and all manner of other things. Anne looked around. "Less of a mess than the rabbit. That's good. Though it's probably a biohazard to have in a restaurant." I sighed. "Yeah. I wonder if it's one of those swearing parrots." I shook my head in disapproval and stroked the red feathers. "You're a lovely little biohazard. What's your name?" "Can you say Dick Butt?" Anne tried at the same time. The parrot stood up straight to proclaim, "Sunny is a pretty bird," followed immediately by, "Jasper is a dickbutt." Anne burst into helpless guffaws. "Good bird, Sunny," I said. "We'll take good care of you and see if we can get you back to somebody who knows Jasper." "Dickbutt! Bah-ha-ha!" "Yes," I said to the air. "This is the representation that Earth needs. This right here." "Ah, nobody out there can understand him," Anne said, looking at the cage. "Do you think he'll go for this?" We tried. He didn't. Sunny insisted on riding on my shoulder, which I finally allowed when we figured out how to make a leg leash out of several hair ties I'd had in my pocket. It would be a short walk, just Reed and a few restaurant workers in the next room, then our truck right outside, theoretically. The first part went fine, with the workers relaxing when they saw the very much not a ghost with pretty red feathers. I introduced them, and one small female even worked up the nerve to touch Sonny's wing. Sonny didn't mind. I could tell Reed was itching to do the same, though he maintained the image of a knowledgeable expert on all things Earth. It was convincing enough. In short order, everyone was charmed by the Earth bird and not as stressed as I would have expected about the idea of closing for a thorough cleaning. "We do a deep clean often," said the hefty male who seemed to be in charge. "Our highest-paying customers demand it. Thank you for catching the animal." "Our pleasure," I told him in rockback. "Hey, Sonny," Anne said in English. "Can you say Polly want a cracker?" On my shoulder, Sonny cocked his head and squawked, "Polly want a finger." Anne burst out laughing while the turtledillos made impressed noises. "That's even better." I stroked the parrot's head. "I have some questions for your humans, Sonny, about their choice of words." The restaurant workers all wanted to hear him talk some more, but they also wanted to get to work so they could reopen, so we made our exit. When Reed opened the restaurant's front door, Anne had just gotten Sonny to swear again, an old-fashioned, colorful phrase in an elderly woman's voice that had us both laughing. Then we stepped into the sudden crowd of news reporters. Turtledillo reporters are just like human ones when it comes to the microphones in your face factor. They were loud. Sonny didn't approve. He flapped into the air, was brought up short by the springy leash on his leg, then he let loose with a spray of bird poop that had them all leaping back. It might have been funny under other circumstances. As it was, the reporters clamored for answers that we didn't have, and declared a number of worrisome things. I answered a few questions. What kind of animal is that? Is it dangerous? Anne answered more. Did it escape from our facility? How many more are on the loose? Reed tried to settle the issue. This isn't a matter of human negligence. We'll tell you as soon as we know more. Then we just shuffled over to the truck and ignored them as we got in. I rode back with Sonny on my knee. Anne didn't ask him to swear more. Whoever had caused this disaster, it was getting worse. I don't know how to fix this, I realized. For most of my life, putting my heart and soul into something had resulted in success, but this was out of my control in a big way. Catching the animals as they showed up wasn't going to be enough if they kept coming, and our reputation continued to crumble. If this all falls apart, I thought, and every human gets sent back to Earth in disgrace, I don't know what I'll do with myself. I might just be bitter forever. Anxious thoughts about therapy and public shame followed me for the whole ride back. They were not pleasant companions.